we can do that whenever you want.
Okay, great.
Oh, by the way, before we get started, I wanted you to see I wore my Microsoft shirt just for you today.
Wonderful. Thank you. It makes my night.
I figured it would. I haven't talked to you in so long. I feel so bad, but
yeah, it's been a while. Even with the show, past couple weeks been just been tough. Well, my business, the company I work with, we're in the middle of our busy season, and it's just night and day. I mean, just Hong Kong hours, London hours. I mean, it's just like and I'm on call all the time, so just nonstop. So it's been rough, but we're getting July 4th will be the end, so I'm looking forward to that and get to summer. Kind of get back to normal.
You're you're in your busy season. I'm transitioning. Frank's just buried, and Lou's out on the beach.
I know, he's only like 2 hours. He's only 2 hours away from me.
Yeah, you should give him hell for not stopping by and saying hello. You really
it's like driving up to Lake Erie. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you really should give him a hard time. I would. I would. I'd give him a real hard time.
Well,
we can have a hard stop at 6:30. That's not going to be a problem at all.
Okay.
In fact, we may actually end up, a little before that.
That's fine. That's good. Yeah, that's
good. We'll see how it goes. Whenever we get done, we get done. I actually got a text today from one of my former students. Your old HVAC guy, actually.
Oh,
yeah, and just to say hi, how you doing? How's it going? And I got to be honest, Master Grandin, it made me feel pretty good, to know that you have that kind of influence on somebody that they want to reach out whenever they get the chance and just say hello. It was very nice.
Great, that is nice. And by the way, I'm going to be in Pittsburgh the week of July 15, 16, and 17. And on the 17th, I have pretty much a full day. I don't leave till 6, so we could do some training if you want, or just get together down at the school or something on Saturday.
July, what was that?
17th.
Let me see here. Let's see what we got here. Because if I don't do my calendar, I'm lost. So you're here 16, 17, 18? Is that what you said?
15, 16, and 17.
15, 16, 17. But you don't leave until late on the 17th.
That's right, 6 p.m. So I can stay till, 4.
You know what? What are you doing? Well, I work. I work until 3. However, Friday the 16th, I get done at 3:30 from my other job, from my real job, and I got nothing else going on.
Well, you come down to it. I'm going to be at the school.
Why don't we meet at the school? You're going to have to remind me. Okay, so like whenever we're done, just like send me a text that says the 16th or something like that. Why don't we meet at the school? Maybe we'll train. We'll do class or whatever, and then why don't we go? Why don't we go eat someplace?
That sounds good.
Yeah, I would very much like to.
Good.
Yeah, let's do that. We have not gotten together. It's been far too long. Mm-hmm. Speaking of which, I got my real ID, so I can get on an airplane now.
So that's your driver's license with a stamp on it, right?
It has a gold star, which makes me a little nervous because they could have literally picked anything else. For whatever reason, they decided to pick a gold star. Because that's not going back to sometime in Germany at all, is it? But I mean, honestly, you could have picked anything else. They decided to do that.
I know. Yeah, we got the same thing, Gold Star.
Yeah, that's what mine is too, right? Uh so I can get on an airplane. My wife can't because she doesn't have her real ID, and I'm pretty sure Nick's passport expired. Maybe I'll be a pain in the ass and tell you I'm coming down and spend a weekend with you.
Okay, I like that. I think that's a good idea. I would love that.
I honestly I wouldn't mind doing that at all. The problem I have is I work Saturday and Sunday at our local YMCA, but that may be changing.
Okay, yeah, we'll just tell Lou, hey, you hopped on a plane to come down and see me. You weren't even like within driving distance.
Yeah, he was only 2 hours away. I'm like 10 hours away, right? The part is he'll probably feel pretty guilty about that.
Yeah, he probably will. I'll just tell him he has to make up to me in the fall when he's on his sales calls down here.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you're making sales calls, you're making runs. You can't stop in Charlotte for. I mean, come on.
Exactly.
Right? I know.
Come on, Grayson. Come on, go, Grayson. Okay.
So I may just pop down. I had I got a few things going on. We can talk about it at another day, or another time, I should say. But I might have I might start having weekends free, and if that's the case, maybe I'll leave on a Friday and come back on a Monday or something like that. And
perfect.
Yeah.
You do Legion Air has those direct flights. You can.
Yeah, honestly, I would not mind doing that.
I didn't understand.
It's the problem you have with this shit, I guess. So anyhow, but whenever you get a chance, just kind of text me, like, the 10th or the 16th or whatever it is, and let me throw that on my calendar so I can remember. Okay. Because we really should. We haven't gotten together far too long. Far too long.
Too long. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I feel a little guilty about that. Getting back to what why we're actually here and why we do what we do. We had a few things going on today, but one of the things I wanted to mention to you, and one of the things I wanted to talk about with you, I am seeing and hearing all over the place. I mean, literally all over the place. This idea that people just don't want to work. Okay? As if the jobs that I do and you do are the equivalent of somebody working in a fast food place or working in a, let's be honest, a dead-end shithole job. Okay? And that's not necessarily the case, but people who are bitching about people not working or not wanting to work seem to be equating those things. And I'll be honest, it's kind of pissing me off a little bit. But according to Axios, workers' Great Awakening is about more than unemployment benefits. That was the headline today. Basically, what's happening is because of the whole COVID thing, and because people actually had the time to stop, which I promise you really pissed off a lot of companies and a lot of CEOs, because people actually now had time to stop and start evaluating what they're doing, who they're doing it for, and what their compensation is. And saying, hey, wait a minute. Either I'm worth more than that, or this is not worth my time, or I could go work at someplace else, maybe not make as much, but not have the stress and anxiety and everything else that goes along with it. And hey, I can be a better parent. I can be a better spouse. I can, just have a better quality of life. I will tell you honestly, we have a local Dunkin' Donuts here in town. That Master Grant, I swear to God, you can't pay me enough to work there. Okay? You can't pay. There isn't enough money. I will run you broke before you are capable of paying me a wage that is worth my time to work there. Because the management is shit, and the people who the customers are shit. And I'm 53 years old. I've been around the block once or twice, right? I mean, I think my skin is a little thicker than a 16, 17, 18-year-old person, boy or girl, doesn't matter, who's trying to work their way through whatever it is, whether it's work their way through college or work their way because they just bought a car and they're going to make their payments every month, or, just trying to make their way through life, who don't have the same history and don't have the same scars from life that I do. I think whenever you're looking at this thing and you're seeing people who had the opportunity and the chance to take a step back and evaluate what they're doing, are looking at these places like it's not worth $8 an hour. It's not worth $8.50 an hour. And I'm curious. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. I'm sorry.
Everybody else is giving you some thoughts.
Yeah, that's their thoughts I don't want to hear right now.
No, I agree. There's something going on. I think that when the COVID hit, people stopped having to do the daily grind. Get up, drink your coffee, get in a car, drive 40 minutes, work all day, come back, go to bed. And they stopped doing that. And they started to realize, hey, I may not have to do this anymore. I may not have to go out and
right.
and work for a company. And I think that a lot of people, while they were off during this time, that they started to get the attitude, I don't want to be bossed around anymore.
Right.
And so I don't want to be told what to do. I don't want to be, I know it all, right? And so now the attitudes have changed, gotten worse, in my opinion. The willingness to get up and get out and go to work is gone. And there is a crisis about that. Definitely, people would rather stay at home and just collect unemployment or disability or whatever they're collecting, and not bother. They'd rather not bother and just sleep all day and play video games all night.
You think that's it? I think that, look, $300 isn't going to do a whole lot to change my opinion of things. Okay. I think what happened, and maybe I'm looking at this in a total idealistic point of view, and if so, I promise you'll correct me. But my feeling is you have a whole bunch of folks. First of all, if you take the numbers, okay, if you take the numbers, how many people that you dealt with on a daily basis, not just like doing your job, but just like from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, how many folks are of the generation before us, are boomers? Okay, maybe they're at the tail end of the boomer generation, and they sat there and they said, you know what, and after they went through this whole COVID thing, and it went on so long because Trump was the biggest fuck up in the history of our country, they figured out that, you know what, I don't need, I really don't need to work. If I do this and I do this and I do this, I don't need to work anymore. Okay? So now you have a generation above us, early 60s-ish, okay? Early to mid 60s-ish. Maybe late 50s. I'm not real sure what the cutoff is. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Who figured out a way that they can take the early retirement, because a lot of places offered early retirement, or they could ride it out until Social Security kicks in and they can start collecting their pensions on top of their Social Security, where they're just like, I don't need to go to Walmart anymore. I don't need to go to McDonald's anymore. If I eliminate this, and this from my life, which I never had the opportunity to do because I was always being pulled in so many directions, I can just quit. I can retire. Okay? And don't forget, the boomers numerically are a far bigger generation than the Gen Xers. So all these people got out of the workforce, got out of the workplace, and they're not around anymore. And your Gen Xers, which I am on the front part of, okay? I mean, I'm 53, so I'm in the front end of this. My wife's 55. She could have retired in April. Now, she had a government job, and, I mean, everything kind of went her way. So, don't think that she's not the barometer. She's the privileged part of our generation, right? She did it right. Because she can retire, I can't, right? But you're looking at a whole bunch of people who have had the opportunity to reevaluate what they're doing and say, hey, look, it's just not worth it to me anymore. Why would I go to Dunkin' or McDonald's or whatever for $8 or $8.50 an hour, because that's still above minimum wage, when if I just eliminate this, and this, which really doesn't have I mean, Netflix is nice, but is it a necessity? No. And just say, you know what? If I eliminate all that, I don't have to put up with these assholes anymore. I don't have to put up with this shit. I can actually start enjoying my life a little bit more.
Yeah, if you're smart about it, if you got some solar panels, cut your electricity down, you leverage the food bank, you'll have more than enough food. If you leverage Goodwill, more than enough clothes, there's really not, you're going to be hit with, your monthly will be internet, gas, electric, water, sewer, garbage. And, if you calculate what do you need per month to make those, and then whatever you're paying rent, or if you own a property outright, you will have taxes, which is your rent, or if you got a mortgage and taxes. So you got to figure out all those costs and get it like to a yearly amount. Let's say you got to pay $25,000 a year in costs. So then, if that's the case, what do you have to do to get $25,000 a year, right? Pension, Social Security. If you get that stuff coming in, you don't have to work. So I'm like you. I'm on the front end of the Gen X. I consider myself Gen X. I don't consider myself baby boomer. I mean, you could technically say, I think because I'm 56, you could say, oh, you are because of the year or whatever. But no, I have nothing in common.
You're only a year older than my wife.
Yeah, I have nothing in common with the Gen Xers. Nothing at all. And I consider them really the people in their 60s are the last of the boomers. Because I think once you get into the 50s, you're Gen X. There's no one I've met who's in their 50s is a boomer type of person.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Right.
The people in their 60s are, but not in the 50s, unless you're like 59 or
you're talking about. I mean, come on, you're splitting hairs at that point.
Yeah, splitting hairs. I think it's more or less your attitude, your outlook on life that kind of defines where you are instead of what year were you born. But regardless of that, Like you, I'll never be able to retire. I will never be able to afford to retire.
No, I can't.
My wife will, because she's working at the state. I'll be dead and gone by the time that happens.
Yeah, she did it right, right?
Yeah,
she did it right.
And we do have some savings, which is basically going to go to her, because, like I said, I'm just going to work until I drop, and then that's that. I mean, the bills don't stop coming in, and
No.
when the electric company decides to be nice to me and stop charging me, and the water company decides to stop charging me, and everybody else, maybe, but until that, it's never going to happen. So,
no.
But to get to your point, and it does tie into what I said. People seen why go work $8, $9 an hour? I don't need it, right? It's just not worth it, and they, there's really no health care benefit. It's just there's nothing to really warrant them to go and put up with the crap that you put up with at a Dunkin' Donuts all day long. Not with management, poor management, ugly employees, and of course the people, dealing with the you screwed up my coffee or whatever. You get that. You get the
yeah. It's coffee, for fuck's sake. I mean, come on.
And it's just not going to do it. And you're right. There's a worker shortage, and there are a ton of people that are flooding the borders right now because we've got a border crisis.
Right. That
would be more than happy
to
fill those jobs.
More than happy to, right? More than happy to. Yeah. I said at the beginning, and I think we said it on this show, this pandemic may have been the worst thing that ever happened to companies because it allowed their employees the time to evaluate what they're doing. And it allowed their employees to evaluate their lives. Now, that being said, I agree with you. I think this extra $300 that everybody's getting influences things, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. Okay? But at the end of the day, I got to start making choices. And first of all, I should go back and I say, I don't think with these states that are cutting off the $300 is the right way to do it. I think it should be phased out. Okay, because at the end, you want your people, you want the people that you are governing, you want the people in your district, you want the people in your state, you want the people in your country to be able to make money. You are a government. So by definition, you're a leech. Okay, you're a tapeworm. Because you can't take anything in unless the people that you're governing has something for you to take. Okay? Instead of setting a hard stop at $300, we're going to kill this $300 in January, or I'm sorry, in July. And I don't know when the hell they're doing it. Every state's different. But let's just say on July 30th or 31st, the last day of July, we're cutting that $300. That really doesn't do you any good. It makes political points. It makes you like really strong in your party. God bless. But it doesn't really do anything for you. If you took that $300 and you said at the end of July, that $300 is going to go down to $200. At the end of August, that $200 is going to go down to $100. And September, that $100 is going to go away. I think you're far better off. I think now you're incentivizing people to start making changes to their lives, to start evaluating things a little bit better. And you're basically empowering people to start making better decisions, which in return makes you as a governing entity stronger and in a far better position to do what you're supposed to do, which is make sure that your people, the people that you're governing, are capable of generating income that you can leech off of? Or am I just being stupid?
No, you're right. Unfortunately, government nowadays is nothing but, who can scream the loudest, and they're not really interested in governing. They're just trying to get talking points, doing things to, get their talking points. So they're like either with the party line, or whatever.
Whatever.
And they don't govern. They are leeches, absolute
Yeah,
leeches. And the worst decision that was ever made in this country was career politicians.
I agree.
Making the Senate, Congress careers.
Yes, I agree.
That has been the worst decision, and we are suffering for it. We got those Lindsey Grahams and Mitch McConnells that we are going to be paying for the rest of our lives as taxpayers. I mean, they're going to be living high on the hog for the rest of their lives. Healthcare taken care of. Yeah, all these guys, and it's a pretty. Yeah, they're really, what is it called? Chewing the fat, or whatever. And they're just leeches. What good do they do for us? Mitch McConnell goes up and I'm going to block everything Biden has. Oh boy, thank you. Boy, I'm so happy that you are a leader. So anyway, but to get off of that soapbox, when we look at how should the government has got to address this issue. I think one, you've got to raise the minimum wage. I think that you got to do it.
Yes.
Two, as much as I hate to say this, because we look at what happened in Germany when the Germans didn't want to work and the Turks came in and took all the jobs that the Germans didn't want. And then 15 years later, when there were no more jobs, the Germans wanted all those low-paying jobs again, right? So I think it's a cycle. And if we do allow more immigration to come in to fill the working areas that we don't have people for, what I'm afraid will happen is that things will turn, and then people want to work at those Dunkin' Donut jobs, and they won't be because they're filled.
Yeah, they're filled.
And then there'll be that, they took all our jobs, blah blah blah. It's like, it's like, yeah, you gave it to them. Anyway, I feel that though, even though I do feel that, hey, if and any good Republican, any good capitalist will agree, supply and demand. If you don't have the supply, you got to fill it.
Right.
And the supply of workers is down south of the border. Bring them in. Fill the demand for jobs.
I have said for the longest time, if we ever want to actually do something positive and constructive, whoever comes through that border, give them a green card and get them to work. Because there's your tax base.
Yeah, exactly. That's what Mr. McConnell should want. He could give himself a raise.
Right. Can you imagine the prosperity this country would have if the people living in this country not only made a half-assed wage, but we were able to tax that half-assed wage? And yeah, I'm telling you, to tax people. Yes, I am, which is like, people don't want to hear that shit. But if you have a government and you want your government to actually do something and actually be able to function, you got to tax people. There's no other way around it. Now, do I think that the differences that we have in our tax structure is crap and has to be changed? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. There's no reason that Bezos is not paying any taxes. There's literally no reason for that. Okay? There's no reason that half of these folks who are not paying any taxes should be able to get away with that shit. So if you come through that border and come on in, here you go, and here's your goddamn green card. So now you're going to be taxed. You're going to be taxed now. Fair enough. But the asshole that's hiring you and the asshole that's buying off of him, and we go all the way up the line, if they're all paying their fair share, and all we're asking for is a fair share, that's it. We're not saying that somebody like Bezos, like any of these guys, should be paying more. We're not saying that, but they should be paying something. Imagine how much better we'd be.
Oh, well, there's no question. But okay, I throw up. I get red flags because as soon as you say tax revenue will increase, all I see is Congress spending it. Right? Congress and the Senate and the president have proven that they're like young girls with their daddy's credit card in the mall. They can't.
Okay. Fair enough.
They can't control themselves.
Well,
but you are right with what you're saying, that bringing these immigrants in, giving them a card, they are now members. They are now tax-paying members.
They're now paying taxes.
And boom, we got more revenue coming in.
Right. And tax them, tax the churches, tax all these fuckers. Right. Now, what we do with that money, that's a separate issue. And you're right about Congress. You're dead balls on right about that. But is that not a separate issue? Let's worry about what they're doing after we figure out that we can actually start getting money in. Okay, now we can start talking about, and we can do them both simultaneously. I'm not saying that one half follows the other, but I'm saying one isn't contingent upon the other. Right? We can do both. I mean, we got brains. We can figure this shit out. We can do both. And the fact that we're not willing to do it tells me one of two things. Either we're goddamn stupid or we have an agenda. One or the other. Because there's no way in hell we can't figure this stuff out. I mean, this is not rocket science. It's not. We're not trying to put somebody on Mars. Okay? We're not trying to figure out, how we can break the speed of light barrier. We're talking about taxes. I mean, come on. It can't be that difficult. I honestly believe it can't be that hard. It's a matter of, are we willing to do it or not?
So there's a huge, there's no will. There are agendas. Yeah. This whole thing with the value-added tax makes so much sense. If you want to buy luxury goods, you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
Period.
And you should.
And you should. You shouldn't be getting a tax break for that. Oh. I just think that the value-added tax it's fair. It's fair. Right. It's across the board. You can't tax the rich. Trickle down. It's like, oh my God, the 70s called. They want the philosophy back. They want their ideology back. We know it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No, and it never has.
And the rich just hoard, and there's no trickle down. Oh. So tax the companies. Don't make the tax so hard that they can't be competitive. But tax the businesses. Do have value-added tax across for the people, so that everything's now fair and equitable. And you don't get these guys. And it's not just the Jeff Bezos. It's just about anybody who makes $300,000 or more pays less than taxes than you and me.
Right. And it's not a percentage. It's an actual number. It's not a percentage. Right.
These people who make $300,000 plus, right, pay less in taxes than standard working person.
Right.
And that's a sin. That's terrible. And these are people in Republican states. I joke all the time. I'm living here in South Carolina, completely red state. Our taxes go up every single year. What WTF Republicans? Right. Where's the less taxes? I don't see it anywhere. And you guys are in control of everything.
Yep.
So
much for family values, right? So much for family values. I'm sorry to put a hard stop on this and move on, but it's after 6, and we have a hard stop here. You wanted to talk about Juneteenth, did you not?
I did.
By all means, talk about Juneteenth.
So as you saw in the news, Juneteenth is now a national holiday.
Thank God.
which is great. It's the date we celebrate the end of slavery, emancipation, and well, maybe it's not the official date, right? It
It's a
doesn't matter. I
recognized
mean,
one.
President's Day isn't the day of the presidents. I mean, it's a day.
It's a
It's a
recognized
designated day.
Right.
And so that's where, and then if there is some historical significance as well, but that doesn't matter. The thing is, it's a day, and it's been designated, and it's wonderful. It's something that's been long overdue, and yet it's really hard to find a way to be against this, right? It's really hard to be against a new. First of all, as a worker getting a new holiday, how can you be against that? Look at what it's for. It's for a really good thing, but yet 14 congressmen voted no to it.
Voted no, right? To give it the historical significance, June 19th is the day that the emancipation of enslaved people in the U.S. The holiday was first celebrated in Texas, Master Grant. Holy fuck! Where that date in 1865, in the aftermath of the Civil War, enslaved people were declared free under the terms of the 1862 Emancipation Proclamation. So basically, what happened was the Emancipation Proclamation happened, and by the time the news got to Texas, right, which is what it was, because it was like
because you're all horses, yeah.
That's how long it took, right? Happened on June 19th, and Texas was the last state for this for the news to travel to. And there's nothing nefarious there. Don't read anything into that. You just have to understand how things happened at the time, right? It was basically somebody on a horse telling somebody who went and told somebody else on a horse, and who went and told somebody else.
The railroads were all blown up by the war.
Yeah,
it was rough.
So that's how long it took. There wasn't anything nefarious about it. It just took that long. Okay, don't read anything into this. It wasn't the 21st century. It was the 19th century. Okay, but finally, the last state to hear, to be informed, to be told that slavery is abolished. That happened on June 19th, right? That happened on June 19th, 1865. Quite some time after the Emancipation Proclamation. But again, that's just a result of the times. That's how long it took. Biden today signed the June 19th into law as a national holiday. First of all, about 100 fucking years too late, but we still got it. It still happened. I'm not going to start getting pissed off that it took so long. Okay, it finally happened. The significance of this is huge because it is recognizing, right, and rightfully so, the faults and the problems, the growing of our country. And yet we have people who are more than willing to deny that this should be recognized. And Master Grant, I don't understand it. Why is it so hard to come to terms with your mistakes, with the things that you did wrong? I mean, you and I are martial artists. We do that all the time, right? That's part of our DNA. So I have a hard time with that. I really do, because coming to terms with your faults, with your shortcomings, it's part of the growing process, right? It's part of making you a better person, or a better entity, and allowing you to grow. And on the other side of that, taking a lot of burden off of your shoulders and recognizing these things and saying, okay, I recognize where these things, and we can now move forward. Why is that so hard for people? I mean,
well, I think that we have to understand. Well, okay, I think for this matter, I think it smacks of unspoken prejudice, racism of these members, who will never go on record and say it, but their actions prove it.
Yep.
And I think that, and it doesn't have to be from the South.
No.
You know, you've got racists all over the country. So, I mean, I looked at the list, and they were pretty well spread out as far as where they're from. But yeah, it just smacks of prejudice, it smacks of racism, it smacks of just intolerance. Absolutely, and all Republicans. What?
Why is it so hard to just look at what we did in our country's history and say, oh my God, that was a huge mistake? And let's recognize that we fucked up someplace. Why is that so hard to do? I mean, I do it every day. I mean, if you're a married person, you've been married for any X amount of time. Yeah, you've said that a bunch of times, right? All right, I fucked up. Happens a lot. Why is it so hard for us as a collective to say, you know what, that was a big mistake?
I don't know. I really don't know. It is, it's kind of mind-boggling. You have to admit before you can move on. If you don't think you did anything wrong, you don't grow. You don't grow. You don't move on. You can't get past. I mean, it's stuck. You know, it's like up to like 5 years ago, you couldn't say Civil War down the South. It was the War of Northern Aggression, or the War of States' Rights, or the War of whatever else it was. But they wouldn't say Civil War, and they certainly wouldn't say it was a war about slavery. No. Even though
all you got to do is read
the Constitution of the CSA. It states in the first paragraph.
How many times? I think it's like 26 times, right? Yeah. I really think the number's like 26. And like, there's still people who deny that. I'm like, dude, 26 fucking times.
Yeah, just like, come on. But you know what? Here's the thing, and I think Como said this yesterday on his podcast. You know, Tucker, you know, I don't want to say it. I want to say it, but I won't. But that, you know, Fox News said no sane person would listen to him and believe him. Yet this guy goes on the air, and people just eat up what he says like it's gospel.
Look at the rating.
And so when you have propaganda, when you have you know, those things are being given to susceptible people who are lacking education. And I'm sorry, people will say, I read a lot of books, I'm smart. No. That doesn't work.
No.
Book smart education, right. Yeah, education is being open to learn. Not just read what you want to read. It's being open to learn new things, new challenges, new things. You may not agree. It's just like eating different foods. You know, people go, I'll never eat sushi. Blah, blah. How would you know if you never tried it?
Right. Exactly.
Try it. If you don't like it, fine. Now at least you can say, yeah, I tried it. I didn't like it.
Okay, but you tried it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Master Grant, I think that's a perfect place to stop. I know it's a little early, but I don't want to put you under the gun.
Okay.
I want to let you ease into work.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. So, thank you for tonight. This was good.
Will we be back tomorrow, or are we killing?
I will let you know. I will let you know tomorrow. It's going to kind of be. I'll text you by the afternoon.
Okay, fair enough. More than enough time.
Okay.
More than enough time. Because let's face it, at least this week, it's just you and me, right?
Yeah, Frank is. I know Frank's been really busy, and
yeah, Frank's dealing with a lot of shit right now. Not personal stuff; it's professional.
Yeah.
Okay. So his personal life is fine, as far as I know. So thank God. It's all professional stuff, but it's taking a whole shit ton of his time. And Lou's on vacation. I mean, he sent us pictures of the beach, for God's sake.
Yeah, and you know, he could be, if you will, he could be right here, sitting right here.
Yeah, he could.
We're going to show together.
I know he could. He's choosing not to.
2 hours away. Could have just
I
driven
know.
right down. I would have bought him lunch, played a round of golf, come
Right.
back, do the show.
Yeah, but no, he chose not to.
Chose not
Yeah.
to.
Trust me, he's going to hear about this. From both of us, he's going to. Anyhow, folks, we will be back maybe tomorrow, maybe next Thursday. We don't know yet. So we're going to leave it a gray area. But until we see you again, in all honesty, like we say at the end of all of our shows, goodbye, good luck, and God bless. We'll see everybody next time we see you. Bye-bye.